Welcome back to the Temple of Tomes. I am Indie Comics Jones. Hope you're having a good day. It is June 7th, 2020, and temperatures here are rising. I think every day this month so far has been 90 or hotter, and it looks like for the next week it's going to be 90 or hotter as well. So already very uncomfortable out. It's not cooling down at night. It gets down to about 78. But the humidity is pretty high, so it's kind of sticky outside. Today we're going to take a look at Carson of Venus. This is part of the Edgar Rice Burroughs universe that's put out by American Mythology Productions. I wasn't really familiar with this publisher. I kind of looked them up a little bit. Of course, they do the John Carter, and they also do Casper, the Friendly Ghost, if you remember him. Rocky and Bullwinkle, and also I guess they have the rights to Zorro. They probably have a few others, but those are the ones I could find right away. Anyway, this one is based on the characters from, let me pull back a little bit, get a little bit more. The characters from Edgar Rice Burroughs stories. This is actually an original story. It's not one taken and reimagined. But the characters are Edgar Rice Burroughs creations. The blonde on the left is Carson Napier of Venus, and the guy on the right is John Carter of Mars. And as far as Carson Napier goes, I don't know if he's an ancestor of Jack Napier or not, but could be. Who knows? It's not a real popular name. Let's go ahead and take a look at who wrote it and who drew it real quick. Let me just open it up on the inside here. Okay, I'm not sure how to pronounce these names, so I'll do the best I can. Looks like the writer was David Avalone, or Avalone, I'm not sure which. Art is by Cyrus Missarcia, I guess. Colors by BZ Studio. I'm thinking that's a business and not a person, but you never know. Letters by Natalie Jane. And I just want to mention the letters. It's a very small font again. You can see that. I would say that's maybe an 8 or a 7 size font. The style of font was really good, though. It was very clear, even though it's so small. I have trouble reading things. And I'll tell you a little bit about that maybe at the end of this episode, why. So basically it starts off, this is a pretty good story. I enjoyed it. It is a one-off, it is an original, and it was kind of fun. And it's kind of the old style of comics, so I enjoyed it at that point. So on the left we have, it's John Carter, he's on Mars, and we have, over here is Carson Napier, and he's on Venus. And they both come across these portals here, and so they're both with a friend, and they're both discussing whether they should go through it or not. And both are adventurers, so of course they're going to go through it. And but it was kind of funny looking at Venus here, because they depict Venus as like this green, lush land, and this one's more of a closer to what Mars would be. It's more of a deserty thing, but this is like nice and green, lush forest. So both of them decide to take a chance and go through the portal. And they pop out at the same time, and it's kind of like a room full of portals. And it's like, and then they kind of see each other, and they're like, hey, what's going on? What I liked about this comic too, the Carson character and the John Carter, they definitely had different personalities. Carson was a lot more lighthearted. He was jokier, and John Carter was more heroic and stoic and serious. So there was definitely a difference between the two. So first you kind of think maybe it's going to be some kind of challenge between other people coming through the portals, like kind of like a gladiator fight, but it isn't. And look at here we got John Carter there with his Hurley medallion vest on. So I was just trying to figure out what the heck that was supposed to do, but not too much protection there. But he comes across these giant ant creatures, and this guy's friendly and just says, hey, there's our princess is being held captive up on the top of this tower by one of his rivals, this ant guy's rival, and it's surrounded by armies and death rays and all this stuff. So here's what the tower looks like. It's not not a lot of detail. So he says, oh, will you guys go up? And they're like, well, not really. It's not really our war or anything. And he says, well, she is a princess, and she is quite lovely. And I get little pictures of there. And it's a cartoony style. It's not super detailed. It's good. I mean, it's fun. So you take a look at like John Carter's expression here. You can let's get in there close. As you can see, that it's not like but this is Carson's book, so that could be part of the reason too. Anyway, they do accept the challenge. They go up this tower. They're gonna have to fight all these soldiers and robots and all kinds of things, and they work together pretty well. That medallion vest just cracks me up. It just looks so funny. So what we got here too is John Carter he's dual wielding his swords, and I don't see any other weapons on him. However, they do show him with a firearm later on, and then Carson seems to have a sword, a dagger, and he has a fire weapon. He has a sidearm, I should say. Let's see if I show him up here. You can see it on his right hip there. But I'm not sure how he does it. You can see him pulling his sidearm down here. They decide to go in, and the adventure really starts. There's a little bit too much exposition at the beginning. There's a lot of talking, but then they get into it. It really moves once they start their climb up this tower, and the strategies they take on, and the different fights that they have, the different weaponry they use. As you can see, it looks like John Carter is actually a lefty with his pistol. And Carson's a righty, okay? Boom. And also Carson somehow has some grenades on him. I don't know where he's hiding them, but he's got 4 of them that he uses throughout. So it was a good story. I mean, it was fun, and it's not life-changing. You can see there's a little bit of good stabbing in there. Kind of like that. And I'm assuming these aren't the robots, because they're actually saying stuff like "arg." So they kind of go through this army, this big war, and they do get to the princess, but it's not what they thought. And the guy who's in charge of the army just kind of says, "Oh well, go ahead and take her," So it's kind of like all these people got wasted for no reason, but it was still fun show. And he's using his firearm. It was kind of trying to figure out what exactly weapons they were using at the time. They switched so often, but it was good. And the other thing I want to mention is there were 2 previews in the back. One was the Princess of Venus, and I mean, she's got a super ripped torso. Look at the definition on that. I mean, geez. But then her arms and her legs, not so much. So she must do a lot of planking and sit-ups and crunches, because that's incredible. What's going on there? But she's good to go. So it's a 4-page preview, nice fantasy. This is also on Mars, and you can tell, Venus. You can tell because of all the vegetation that Venus has to offer. This is a giant tree, very well drawn. It's very fantasy-like. The 4-page preview isn't really anything special. She's just proving that she can do leading up to that she can fight like a man. She's kind of going through the exercises without them knowing it, and that was the whole preview. Then there was another preview for Moon Maid, of the moon. And apparently the moon has catacombs within that are very lush, swampy, that have creatures and humanoids in it. And the Moon Maiden is very beautiful and running around. So this thing's I don't know much about this story at all. I didn't really look it up, but you can see some of the things going on here. But apparently, the moon has an atmosphere somehow, sky and everything. So at least it wasn't dark. I've been seeing so many comics lately that all the interiors are dark. So just real quick, in the future, I'm going to go back and also do second issue of Carson. These are one-offs. The Flames Beyond is the name of this one. I've got the Pirates of Venus as well. The title's down at the bottom, and it's got these giant spiders crawling on. So it's kind of a cool cover. Very cool. And also Carson number 3 here. The Flames Beyond. Well, that's the same thing. So it must be, maybe that one's actually an arc. I guess it's an arc. I've not read these yet. The original one that we were talking about, Carson of Venus, Warlords of Mars, came out in June of 2019. It sold about 2,100 copies. The Princess of Venus also came out about the same time and sold about the same amount. Or I should say, those shipped numbers. Those are numbers that were shipped from Diamond. So they're pretty good read. It's kind of more of an old-time type of comic, and it was enjoyable and it was fun to read. I would recommend this if you like those kind of comics. It's not super deep or anything. There's not some under all the subplots and things like that going on. It's just very straightforward. And the reason that I'm getting to these so late is, well, first of all, I just started the channel last month. And second of all, I had last year, starting actually in September of 2018, I started having eye issues and with my retina, which eventually led in June of last year when these comics came out that I had a retina detach. I almost went blind in one eye, and so I've been having a lot of eye issues. I had six eye operations in the last year, and wasn't fun. And I'm actually going to have one more in the left eye coming up. So all of a sudden, my eyes haven't given me problems all these years, nothing. But so that was kind of sad, and I had a bunch of comics pile up in those times. So I was having difficulty reading. I actually went on medical leave for a month, and everything's going good though, and I'm rambling now, so I'm going to sign off. But if you see me doing a lot of old comics from like a year ago, that's the reason. My pull box got full, and I'm just getting through stuff now. So everybody out there, take care, be kind to everybody. I know temperatures and tempers have been rising, but keep calm and be kind to everybody. And this is Indie Comics Jones signing off from the Temple of Tomes. Take care.